Welcome back to the LuxAlgo live stream. My name is Jacob. Like always, again, guys, we're early today, right? It's a little bit early, about an hour early. Honestly, no, an hour and a half early. I do have an appointment to get to at our normal starting time, but I didn't want to miss a weekday, right? I didn't want to miss a day, especially since we started doing the weekly streams. Now I wanted to make sure we were here. Sorry for the pop-up of it, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a pop-up, see who our loyal viewers are. But in this case, welcome back, guys. We appreciate you being here. Hopefully you're having a good day already. Obviously, the market's been a little interesting since some of the earnings we had last night with Tesla, and looks like ES is actually green today, which is good for the U.S. markets. Bitcoin kind of sitting even, nothing too crazy that we're seeing, but in this case we're definitely going to look at a few things today, some new things that you guys didn't get to see yesterday that you want analyzed yourself today. Sorry, I'm turning up my volume here, but just remember, tomorrow we have that $300 giveaway. We're giving away $100. Welcome who all is new. Make sure you sub and come back tomorrow because we are giving away $100 to 3 people, and you'll know how to enter via tomorrow, and we'll let you know when we start up our stream tomorrow at the normal time of 1 Eastern. So be ready for that. But to start us off, guys, you know the drill. Let's hop into the wheel of analysis. Throw in the ones you want to be analyzed today, and we will make sure that we touch them. Now we've been doing a bunch this week, so we'll make sure to pick ones we haven't necessarily touched on as much. And also remember, we always go over the majors, okay? We always go over the majors, so don't put anything in there like Bitcoin, Ethereum, NASDAQ, stuff like that. We'll always go over those. But today, our NDR was seeing that early on, and we'll do that for sure. Man was prepared today. Doge, we talked about not going over Doge yesterday. We'll put Doge on today, I think. Did we go over Doge yesterday, Mickey? I'm trying to remember. We might have. Did we go over? I think you're right. Well, we'll look back in a sec. Mickey, will you check that for me real fast? Go to yesterday's stream and see if we did Doge. We're definitely going to look at gold, ADA. We didn't do bonk yesterday. We're going to look at all the majors, guys, so don't worry about Bitcoin or any of that. We'll do ADA, bonk. We'll do bonk for sure. We did XRP yesterday. I'll add XRP to the list if we don't get anything else up. TRX. Somebody mentioned we did Doge yesterday. Okay. So Doge and we could do US 30 actually. We don't normally look at that. Doge and dot. I like dot. Let's see here. Sorry, let me see. Doge and XRP will be in the back of the list since it just depends who all is here. All right, dot for sure. Gala, Gala. Does that even have good volume? Let me see. This one's okay on volume. That's not terrible. It is moving similar to some of these others. We can do the Dixie for sure. Let's do Dixie. From Croatia. Love to see it. Yeah, we'll do the pound. GBP USD. You got it. Let's do that for sure. We got one more on the list. We did TIA yesterday. Whiff. What even is that? I don't even know how you say that. Dog whiff hat. We're gonna do this one. It doesn't look too great. Let's do. Let me see here. Sorry, just looking at ones. Make sure they're worth doing. Avalanche, we also did yesterday, so go check that out. Let me see. VRA looked interesting. We did Link yesterday as well. And we'll touch on these guys if we have time, of course. I added more time to the clock to make sure we don't miss anything. Let's see. Pyth, I know we went over 2 streams ago. Let's go over Pyth. I like this is exactly what it's doing, what we wanted it to do. So we're going to go over that. Oh, that is not a P. Ignore what I just did. Bam. All right. That is the wheel for today, guys. Now, I did add a little extra time to the charting board because we were going over each time. So we can definitely add some stuff in there if we want. Remember, we always go over the majors starting out. And we can touch today. I know somebody mentioned the Euro earlier. We can touch on that during the major talk as well. But thanks for coming back. Appreciate the pop-up viewers. Remember, our daily goal is 100 likes. But today, since we didn't really get you guys informed on going live an hour and a half early, we'll try to hit that goal regardless. But if we don't, it's not as big of a deal. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, so we'll make sure hopefully you guys come back for the $100 giveaway to 3 people. So we'd love to see that in the morning. But news front here, obviously today we had our core durable goods, you can see right there behind me, that posted as a beat there, which is good for the dollar. And then after that, we had GDP as well at 3.3%. That is fantastic. Okay, that's really good to see. Today, the Nasdaq, is green. Accordingly, still continuing. We had we've been super green the past week or so. So it's good to see that continue today. Especially, ES actually did close red yesterday. Yeah, the SP 500 closed red yesterday. Nasdaq closed green. So that's good to see it holding back up with GDP hitting and beating, which is awesome. Let's see here. Make sure we don't have anything else we need to go over. We have these auctions coming up. Actually, they just came out. Sorry. So if you saw a bit of volatility, always pay attention to that news. Right. We have the 7-year note at 1 Eastern. Tomorrow, though, big numbers. We have the PCE coming out for year-over-year, month-over-month. So make sure pre-market, that's probably going to set the outcome of the day. Today, because of GDP beating, it probably is going to have, close up today for sure. That's what we want to see. We're already up, 90 points on the Nasdaq. So not a bad day. Really quick though. Remember, Tesla had earnings yesterday. Remember we said we didn't like that over a full year they barely made any money. And they missed their revenue, and they missed the EPS. This is why we were talking yesterday. It's like Tesla was not, it was a good potential buy area because of its core value that we saw around 200. But again, seeing what's forecasted, this is why you look at the numbers. Seeing what was forecasted, was pretty rough. Like, it's not great that the EPS was less than it was a year ago, as well as the revenue pretty much staying. It's flatlined for a whole year. That's not good. We don't want to see that. What else is quite interesting is, let me pull up that news. I just had it. Is this? None of their 435 million Bitcoin was sold in Q4. So they're still holding 435 million worth of Bitcoin, which is quite interesting to see. So pretty impressive there. I don't know their layoff news. I didn't pay attention to that, but they're still holding a massive amount of Bitcoin. Sadly our debt reached new all-time highs, and we notice here as well the BlackRock's Ethereum ETF has been delayed yet again. They're probably going to delay it as a punishment for whoever hacked their Twitter and released the oh, here we go, grayscales as well, so they're just going to delay everybody's. Makes sense, right? But BlackRock now holds 45,688 Bitcoin. That's absolutely insane. But in that case, guys, interesting delays on the Ethereum front. So we'll see how that goes today. I didn't even pull this up. Let's see, January 22nd. We had this up the other day. About 41 seconds here to show you guys one more time. Today after hours, you got Intel and Visa. Nothing too crazy I'm really worried about, right? Next week, though, is going to be interesting. So you'll have to come back on Monday and see what we got. We might go over that tomorrow, kind of see what's coming out on next week, but it's going to be pretty heavy earnings for the next 2 weeks. So appreciate you guys being here. We're about to go jump into the charts, starting with Bitcoin, of course, like always, and get cranking on what we see next. Now, of course, from yesterday, Bitcoin hasn't done too much. It's been kind of consolidating, but it has, shown a lower high on the price. So we'll see if it wants to come down from these levels. But in this case, guys, let's just hop right into the charting. Let's get it going. I put an hour 15 on the board, so I have a little extra time here. I do want to make sure it's the hour 15. Looks like we would be sitting pretty, yeah, because I do need to leave roughly in an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll make this almost perfect timing. So let's get into it. But in this case, Bitcoin, as you can see, we're still coming off these highs. We talked about, that 38,500 mark, which is something that I really want to continue to see. Now, the biggest thing we've discussed as well, right, was the profile. We have that fixed volume profile coming in here at this value range high, which was super important, I think, lining up with this fair value gap. So in this case, looking for that support would be pretty awesome. Seeing if this weekly could maybe close over 40K. We still got 3 days on that. If that were the case, I think we could see, so long as the next week closes up, we could see a nice bull run maybe back into 45.50 level, which is something that I would look for. So let's see if it can continue to hold this week. We want it to hold over 40,000 on the weekly, bounce off that FVG. But as we said before on the daily here, we were currently rejecting. We're rejecting today. We had a little bit of a reset here, and price hasn't fully extended to the downside on Bitcoin. So daily chart, we still, we wanted a bounce above these highs. We kind of started that bounce here at that at these daily fair value gaps as it made its run. But now we're showing a decent amount of rejection, right? So in this case, we are rejecting below the proper change of character, which means, the structure is pretty clean right now. So in this case, I do want to see maybe a retest of 38 exactly, and these highs here, right? Phil, you can get access to it in the description of this live stream. Just go check it out. Just click that. I think it's the first link in there. But in this case, guys, that change of character is playing out perfectly. Like we discussed yesterday, we like to see price react below or above change of characters when they form, depending on obviously if it's bullish or bearish. But once again, we do have a low, we have a high volume order block sitting down here on 36,000. So we very much could go retest that level. So that's something we definitely want to pay attention to. So keep an eye on possibly breaking down to that. Let's just jump into ETH really quickly. This thing's selling off a little bit more. But again, it's not much more than what we were seeing on Tuesday. We saw that big candle, but it's continuing to try to test this low. And this is what we talked about, potentially testing the same low as it sold off to. I want to go look at the weekly really quickly here. And this pretty much lines up exactly where we would want it. And let's look at our volume profile on this as well at this current breakout here. So give it to me. And there you go. This is, we discussed this several times every day. We look at this. We see that, clear resistance at the top of that value range, which is very important, right? This is a weekly chart. So something to consider quite a bit. A lot of volume that was traded between the 2,500 and the 1,040 there. So when it's inside of this little range here, I'm not going to consider a potential trend just yet. I need to see an actual confirmed break out of one of these high value ranges. So in this case, that lines up perfectly. That 2,500 is what we were really, really looking for. And we didn't get the full break. We broke out, of course, but we didn't, actually hold that price point very well. So for, ETH, we're rejecting this fair value gap still on the weekly that came from, these lows from the previous highs there. And, now we're continuing lower. So I would kind of want to see this support hold at 2,100 yet again. We've discussed this quite a bit. You're currently looking at the price action concepts indicator. You can just check it out in the description. But in this case, guys, Remember, we always talk about that structure. Wanted to see if it wants to hold. We have a high volume order block sitting at 2100. The biggest reason why I like this too is because it's coming back to retest these highs. The thing I don't like about it is the fact that it's already tested it multiple times here, right? So this coming to retest, I'm not a huge fan of it. The only thing that I do like is that this is a pretty aggressive impulse to the downside, which is good, especially for oscillators. So it very much could get bought back up before it goes lower. If that's the case, if it can hold 2100 like we said previously, and we're still waiting on this move, we're looking 2400 would be probably that next level. Lines up perfectly with this nice sell side imbalance that sold off, as you can see with the fair value gap plotting, and then rejecting of these previous highs as well. So that lines up pretty well with Ethereum. So in this case, 2100 is the high watch. If it does crush this low, you're probably going to see, let me see. I mean, you're definitely, if you crush that low, you're going to start seeing that 2K mark probably come into support for a bit before it crushes that. So that's with normal price action in this case. If news drove this, it could drive it right through both those prices. But for now, it looks very good for the 2100 support. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's just jump into the NASDAQ really quickly. Nothing has changed since yesterday. This continues to go higher. We continue to tell you to not get out of a position if you're in the NASDAQ. Lovely run here day after day. It found clean support, off of the previous high. The AI signals even, I was going to see here. I think we got a 3 signal somewhere. Yeah, we got a 3 signal that formed to break through that high. This is what we say all the time, especially for using the signals, is if you get a 3 continuation signal, you want to see it bounce off of a trend following tool, something like the NeoCloud here. If price trades above the NeoCloud, very, very bullish. When it's inside of it, as you can see, it usually consolidates. But in this case, that's exactly what we want to see is a retest of the high with a 3 signal to get that breakout. We got it. Now what we wait for is exit points. So we don't even have our first exit. Exit points I'm looking for look like this. So I want to see at least one exit come out first before I consider this potentially coming in to be a top or so. But that's kind of for the NASDAQ. This is just a hold. It's a large trend. There's no reason to actually fight this thing. I would not even look into doing that whatsoever. We're at all-time highs. Nothing really concerning about that. Lovely trend continuation signals, which on the 4-hour actually trying to get one right now. So we might get a nice breakout here very soon. So let's see if we get something like that. But in this case, man, what an absolute banger of a trend. You can see as well, I mean, this is where structure comes into play. Absolutely crushed this fair value gap support right there and ran higher. But then also look at where it bounced today. And like we talked about yesterday, is holding structure over structure points. So as you can see, break of structure held here. That was also lined up with the previous high. This is beautiful for a breakout. So in this case, if you want to maybe look bearish, you need to see a bigger wick like that, probably a close down, maybe a hammer candle. So that's exactly what you would want to look for. But for now, this is a long move for a while. I'm just looking at this comment. Well, yeah, man. If you tune in tomorrow, you potentially could win one of the $100 giveaways that we're doing. And we're also going to be giving away more each and every week. So make sure to come back, and you will definitely have a chance to watch and make a little bit or win a little bit, actually. So in this case, it's a lot more fun to win than it is to make. So, come back tomorrow, and you might be one of those lucky winners. But in this case, guys, let's that was the NASDAQ. Let's go over gold real fast as we jump into here. We'll get into the wheel. Then we're going to look at the Euro USD. I know somebody mentioned that earlier, and I want to make sure I touch on that. Gold. I mean, this is following exactly what we predicted here on the 4-hour. If we look at the daily, we were bearish, obviously, on the short term on the daily. The biggest concern was that 2,000 level, something that I really want to focus on, was the 2,000 level. Give me 2 seconds here. Make sure I'm not missing anything else. Okay. I really wanted to focus on that 2000 level. That was kind of the key because right now we have conflicting trends on a daily. In this case, we have a nice, reset oscillators coming off these highs, setting lower highs, meaning bullish. The higher low got broken. But in this case, 2K seems to be that point which it wants to hold pretty aggressively. For now, as you can see, it also lines up with these previous highs. Now, this is for gold. If we go to the weekly here, this is what I really like on the weekly. And I really want to see that support get held for a potential continuation. But we have, all these highs lining up in this case. Give me one quick second here. But we have all these highs lining up. We want to see it hold that 2K. That's pretty important. Gotta text back the fam. Sorry, just because we're doing an early stream, I gotta make sure I'm not missing anything. But in this case, 2K guys, that's a really important level right now. 4 hour though, we talked yesterday about this fair value gap. I want to make sure, yeah. We talked yesterday about this potentially being a reject, right? But we're setting lower highs. We're currently in a pretty good downtrend, right? But here you go, rejecting. Yesterday on stream, we said, we wanted to see on gold if this break of structure would act as resistance alongside that FVG forming there. And that's exactly what happened now. If this closes down like this, it has a high probability of going to crush these lows close to 2006, 2004. Man, I took a shower. Do you say a nice haircut? Gosh. I just took a shower, man, so now you're making me feel bad. I should take more showers. I do need a haircut, though, that's for sure. That's one thing that you're going to get used to with me is I let my hair grow out. I don't know why. Don't ask me. I honestly just don't like driving to get a haircut. So I don't know if I'm lazy or I just am too busy. But definitely going to get it one soon. But I took a shower, so thanks for calling me out on that. But in this case, guys, gold right now bearish. I think 2006 we'd probably see a lot sooner than 2037. But bull case over 2037. Go to the daily. You can see that as well as a nice little lower high break, which is what you want to see. And this is it's forming a bit of a little wedge here. We're wedging off. I'm gonna pull that high, I guess, but. In this case, if we were to just pull you in these two swing points, you're squeezing a bit. So if it does break that low, just know you're more than likely going to retest possibly 1980. So that's pretty much what you're watching on a daily. And this is what I said yesterday. I don't like this trade on a daily chart yet because you are all inside a bullish imbalance and a bearish imbalance. It rejected. So it's very conflicting. We need to see, some structure actually shift here. It's also off of a previous high. It's just a lot of conflicting things. That's why I was saying it. Over 2039, I like it. 2040, I like it for a nice push higher, probably back to 2077. But below 2000 is going to be that key level to flush us to like the 80s. So 1980 would be that target below 2000. But awesome, guys. Thanks for coming in early today. Appreciate it. If you're new to the stream, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the likes, guys. We try to get those likes to 100. That's our daily goal. And I want to make sure that we're here every day at 1 p.m. Eastern. Today is a little earlier because I do have an appointment that starts at, I think, like 1:30 or something. Takes 30 minutes to get there. But I wanted to make sure we didn't miss a day, especially on our first week. But we appreciate you guys tuning in a little bit early today, and tomorrow we'll be back at 1 Eastern to do our $300 giveaway, so make sure you don't miss it. In this case, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, Euro USD. Let's go look at that. The Euro. So the Euro, much, much better. Now, obviously, this is actually a similar chart to gold, but in this case, it looks quite a bit better. Bro, eating good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I do like to eat, that is for sure. I ordered those. Has anybody ever tried those like factor meal things? I've become so busy I can barely cook, so I actually ordered those recently. I'm gonna try them out and see what I think. If you have any recommendations, let me know. But in this case, guys, for the euro, let me see here. 108.50, right? Cooking. I eat Chick-fil-A spicy sandwich literally every day. Hey, you can't go wrong. You know why? You know why you can't go wrong with Chick-fil-A? Because if you eat one every day, they just give you a free one like almost like 2 times a week. Just be like, hey, keep coming back. Keep buying our sandwiches. Or even if you use rewards, you can just rack those up pretty quickly. Trust me. We do that quite a bit. But in this case, guys, euro on the daily, we're in that downtrend as well. You have those lower highs being formed with the rejects. And we're inside a bullish, imbalance as well. So this is where that conflicting factor comes into this case too. But I like this more than I do gold. I think the euro here has a lot higher chance of heading lower from this recent break. The structure is very clean. It broke that swing low. That's the difference between gold here. Gold hasn't broken that swing low, right? So the euro broke it, right, already. So this looks good to at least retest the 107.5 level. We're going to be giving away LuxAlgo merch here soon, so pay attention for that. Fam, yeah, we're doing an earlier one today. Welcome, guys. Fam and Cyrox. Hopefully I don't butcher your name. I'm trying here, but we appreciate you guys being back. We're definitely earlier today, but we'll be back to the normal schedule tomorrow and next week. But in this case, yeah, this properly broke structure nicely. It rejected that imbalance there. Let's go to that 4 hour. That 4 hour is going to tell us a little bit more. As you can see, this thing rallied up and took out that liquidity. And remember what we said, right? We said yesterday, we were looking at this here. We saw this, and we wanted to see if it holds support over that. We like it for that move higher, but it didn't. It went up into this imbalance and then rejected it and then sold off overnight, right? So in this case, this is pretty much a liquidity grab to push this lower. I would say right now on a 4 hour, we do want to see a candle close roughly at the same low, if not break it for now. But in that sense, I would pretty much I would have taken a possible short opportunity off of this candle on the 4 hour, if that were the case, showing rejects of those highs. But for now, if I was to actually trade this, we need a close break here and then something like that. And then you take an entry off of a nice little retest of that low yet again. But yeah, that's kind of waiting for that move to the downside. It's definitely bearish in my opinion right now to I think the 1.08 is going to crack. But that one thing on the daily is this imbalance here. But the structure very clean here on the euro, so I think it could easily break down to 108 at least 108 on the dot. So let's go ahead and get into the chart, or get into y'all's suggestions, and kind of go over what you wanted. Starting with bonk. What a great way to start this out. Oh goodness, bonk it is. Let me see here. Let me pull up. Bybit probably has more. Yeah. More data. All right. Mr. Bonk. Fame's excited about bonk. It's interesting, actually. Daily chart. So, okay. Those of you guys that are, I don't know, some guy mentioned it. I know we've been requested a few times the past week, so we had to put it on the board at some point. But guys, so if you're trading these types of coins, by the way, one thing you need to know, if you're ever in a massive amount of profit, right? If you're ever riding that first initial wave and you know what could happen, you got to really pay attention to how much you're up, because this is the same thing with penny stocks. Is like, it's inevitable that these will come off of these highs. Like, don't ever think that it's ever, like, even with Doge when it had its massive run, right? And I think Bonk actually, was it Bonk or Shiba that beat out Doge percent? Can't remember which one did, but essentially, like anything, what goes up must come down, right, before it goes up again. But in this case, there are ways that you can properly trade these things off these highs, and you wait till you see proper volume. If I were to pull up a volume indicator here, just a regular volume, we could even see. This little tactic I used to use too with with what's it called, trading penny pumps, was if you get an initial pump and you miss it, at some point people are going to try to short it as much as possible, and you want to wait until they have to cover, right? So in this case, they didn't full on cover, and you can tell by the volume when people are going to start covering because of the overall average too. In this case, you had a decent little spike here, but the candle wasn't too great, and based on where it was, pretty much the candle is what's going to tell you there. But in this case, if I would have seen this candle here, I could have considered, because of that volume spike that it had, the covers were beginning to start taking out their short position. So honestly, in my opinion, I would have scalped from this day into this day. It would have done a 1 day scalp because of that massive volume spike of people covering. That's pretty much going to force other people to cover as well. So you can really utilize just volume, especially on these high volatility moves like this, to get like 1 or 2 day pushes that are pretty big. Like that was if we were to actually enter on that day after the volume, you had a 26% jump there. It's a lot safer than assuming it's going to go higher from these highs. You can share the live. There's a link below the stream here that says share. It should be on like the right hand side of the window. But in this case, bonk obviously came off, and it actually bounced off of a support that it had before it made that big pump that it did. For now, I didn't pull up the volume, but for now, that volume, remember, is still kind of low. We would want to see that volume increase here. For my bonk boys out there, man, the bonk boys. If you got rich off bonk, make that t-shirt, please, and send it to me. Bonk boys. Even though I didn't trade bonk. But here you go. Structure is forming properly. It's rejecting off of that current BOS, but it's also trying to find support on the current order block of 1 trillion in volume, which is insane. But here you go. We talked about this yesterday too. We do have a bullish divergence that is that formed, but it's starting to actually play out, right? I don't know. It's the volume was at a max. I'm sure it was like 5-6 trillion or something crazy. But notice, we talked about this already. When we see a gap divergence start forming, this is when we start to potentially consider a reversal occurring. But you can notice here, even this trend of the downside started to break, right? So since we got that break, we have that divergence starting to play out. If we set a higher low somewhere, kind of honestly right here very soon, we get a bullish turning point like this, right, on the oscillator, and we start seeing that money flow decrease, you might actually have an opportunity to trade this up into the nearly the 12. I'm just going to say 12 because I'm not going to read out every decimal point. But pretty much through 11, probably 1150, 12. Because this has sold off for a while. Now, the only problem with trading this versus anything that trades properly is you always know some dude is out there bag holding a massive amount that can literally take out anybody's level, right? So in this case, that's what you have. That's the risk you have to be willing to take if you're ever going to trade something like this. But for now, it's like, do you want to see more than likely a higher low get formed? If that's the case, then you might actually have a trade opportunity to the upside, but you want to wait to see if that's even possible. I mean, you could even pull a small 4-hour fib here, and this is exactly where you would want that bounce for an upside move. But for now, because it rejected that structure, what I would look for, in my opinion, is this exact. So you would take your entry actually off of this retest. Something like this, right? That's what I would look for off of this. You would get a chotch here, get support, and then rally through that after a confirmed reversal. So everything would line up in that sense. So make sure. You don't want to get rug pulled on an asset like this, so only trade with fun money. Fun money asset is what I would say. Or you hodl your way till the end of, either hodl your way to zero on this, or you just hope that it goes up. It's pretty much all you can do. All right. Let's go to the next one. Let's get going. Let's get it. Let's get it. DOT. DOT. USD. I like DOT. DOT. Polka dot. Polka dot. Polka dot. All right. This is actually kind of similar too on this 4-hour. It's come out of this downtrend. It's trying to fight a reversal. It's definitely rejecting, but it looks as if it could possibly actually maybe set up here. Let's go to the daily. And there you go. Big thing there. Look at that order block that acted as perfect resistance. A significant turning or significant swing high right on dot here. Rejected beautifully off of that. Lovely risk reward to the downside here. In this case, we did have a chotch just form. It looks as if this fair value gap is just barely hanging on. I will say this imbalance here, it did all of those orders pretty much got filled. I mean, you maybe have I don't think you have any resting orders at the low of that. Yeah, so that imbalance is pretty much has pretty much been liquidated. Now in this case, it hasn't on this chart because we didn't get a candle close below the opening of that imbalance. So that's why it's still there. But the minute this thing closes below that body, it's going to actually go away. But here you go. I mean, this thing actually on a daily retested a pretty significant high there before it had this big rally and found a little bit of support on top of it. I think this could be a level in which you could start considering a potential buying opportunity. But look, this just formed into a downtrend formation, which I'm not a huge fan of. So the only thing I would say right now, for one, is let's pull up, a big long fib, and you can see it's busted that fib, right? It's busted through the 618. It tried to bounce here. Could have actually on that candle gotten a small scalp if you traded that, which is pretty interesting. But this is the other concern here. And where Fibonacci's, depending on how you trade, whether it's you swing trade or you're actually long-term trading or you're day trading, that fib on the daily this will determine it here. This case, great day trade, get great short swing right off of that. But if you were to take that fib and actually want to try to trade the next level, in my opinion, you would want to have gone to here, because look what happens is we talked about why these structure points are so important. And this BOS here needed to act as support coming from a proper retracement. Sadly, you had it, a little inside bar here that pumped it to this high, came back down, couldn't find support over that high. So it kind of, the structure got broken here, right? Broke below the BOS, couldn't find that support. And then there you go, you're retesting support. That's pretty much why it didn't fully hold. Now, in this case, we're rejecting the change of character. So this is why I would definitely be bearish. So I would definitely be bearish on DOT right now on the current daily time frame. You're rejecting that change of character, which is really good. And that's also coming alongside a imbalance, right? A sell side imbalance there, as you can see marked with the red box, right? So we're rejecting that. Okay, so our next target level would be this BOS down here. It would be these highs, right? That's the other nice thing about these BOSs is you have these highs that form that you could easily target. I'm just going to mark this off. There you go. My target right now to the downside would be $5.80. I would just say sub $6 if it does actually come to that. $6. Yeah, we'll go possibly over Bitcoin again later, but just you can jump to the beginning of the stream. You should be able to. You can go watch that analysis really quickly. It hasn't really changed much in my opinion. But Polkadot here on the daily still bearish. Same here with the 4-hour. Notice what else we're rejecting is this low here, which is something that is super important to pay attention to as well. It tried to bounce originally, it busted through it, and now it's rejecting off that breaker structure as well as that previous swing point that we saw there, and also all of these lows, right? All of these lows got broken. So in this case, there you go. You have your next significant high sitting, right below $6. So that's what I would want to target right now. Bearish on DOT in the current time frame. We'll see what it ends up doing because it can do anything it wants to, as long as people are buying or selling it. So we'll see. But definitely, you have a better bet of being bearish right now on that. Next one. The Dixie Land Delight. All right, let's see here. TVC for sure. All right, dollar index. Now, for those of you that don't fully understand data, Can I get this in here? Pop. Okay. So if you use investing.com for your information, green on any of these means it's good for the dollar. Green good, red bad, right? But it's for the dollar, right? So this is all in correlation. They relate their coloring to how it affects the dollar. But no, the dollar, it has this never-ending balance with the overall market, right? When the dollar's going up, a lot of times you do see the market kind of come down. But again, there has to be a synergy. I'm trying to think of a good balance word. There has to be a decent balance between these two in the way they trade in order to have good trends, right? So when the dollar is going up, sometimes you will see the overall market go up as well, as you're kind of seeing today. But notice how much the overall market is moving today based on the dollar moving today. That's where it kind of can get a little different. So in this case, the dollar the past 2 days is up quite a bit, right? Or sorry, the past hour. Let's go to the daily. Like yesterday, we had a pretty aggressive day in the market. You can see the dollar came down a bit. Today, the dollar's sitting roughly at break even. You can see here with ES roughly at break even as well. So there's that, that balance in which these guys are fighting each other now. The dollar is up today because of GDP, right? That GDP report means the dollar is up. You'll see here on the Dixie, we're coming down on the 5-minute. You'll see ES is trying to bounce a bit on the 5-minute, right? So there are going to correlate in interesting ways as you continue to watch how these things trade alongside each other. But in this case, we like to plot out the daily chart, right? You can see we've had a current downtrend since November, right? Now we go to the ES. Since November, see, we've had a lovely uptrend. So there you go. That's pretty much how you want to read the dollar. Now, if it's good for the dollar, right, you might have that balance of sorry, I'm reading your comments. But in this case, CTI, for that specific one, man, we can look at it possibly at the end of the stream. If not, come back tomorrow and I'll remember you. We can throw CTI on the board for you, all right? You just have to be here at the beginning of the stream, and I'll remember to add it for you. But again, we only have limited time. I want to make sure we touch on everybody that was here early to implement their things. Otherwise, guys, if we analyzed your thing yesterday, just go back on yesterday's stream and watch it because it probably hasn't changed too much. But if there's something that has changed quite a bit, we'll look at it. But in this case, for the dollar, it's interesting right now because the overall downtrend on this thing, the actual slope of it has broken, right? We have had this break. So this could be an early indication that the market is kind of coming to highs. Now, it's very possible too because we've been super aggressive to the upside. But in this current state, like we said, this thing, so long as it's stabilizing and following these proper moves with the overall market, that's very healthy when the dollar does that. But in this case right now, as you can see today, we are up with GDP, and the structure is trying to shift here on the dollar. So we have that change of character. It is following a proper structure like this, right? It's holding above where that change of character was. We could honestly see this thing maybe break out, maybe go retest this previous swing point. Now, if I was a little bit, if we were going to see a potential retracement on the overall market, then we're going to get we need a large candle like this to blow through that high. And then you'll see kind of the market probably dip a bit. If we go to the weekly here, this honestly, let's pull up a value range once again. Ooh, wrong one. Let's pull up a fixed range here. Right at where that low is sitting, where it broke into that range, which is on this candle. So we'll do that. And you'll see if it'll load for me. Oh, sorry, we're on the wrong one. Let me see if I can get it on, this is the TVX. Yeah, I'll get it on Capital. So this actually has volume levels. But here you go. In this case, for the actual volume, you can see that it's inside this value range, right? So this could be the start Hey, thanks, Brad. Appreciate the like. Yeah, guys, we're at 56. We're trying to get to 100. Obviously, this stream wasn't fully scheduled like our normal streams, but in this case, make sure to go hit that like button. We really appreciate it. Let's get up to 100. Over the Dixie right now, so you can bounce off of this low range at this current moment, right? So, in this case, seeing it starting to bounce and heading back to that point of control, that's kind of where we're watching. What's cool, though, is the point of control is lining up with this swing high here. So if structure were to break through that on the weekly, we might go see a retest of the top of this value range, right? And that, honestly, in my opinion, would probably be pretty healthy for the markets right now. You might not even see that big of a correction on this, or I wouldn't even say correction. It's more like a retracement. But we probably would get something back to 4,800 on the ES. The NASDAQ obviously is way higher. You'd get something maybe back down to, 16.5, 16.8. But at some point, the market is going to have to make a similar, here you go. It's a grade A bull flag. At some point, you're going to see something like this on the retrace. This happened on the weekly in July. If we go to the DXY in July, let's go to July here. Let me see. Where was the initial? This was July 17th. Let's go to the NASDAQ yet again. Let me double check on the July 17th was right here. Where is it? Pop. Okay, cool. So this is the high it set was on July 17th, right? Before we had that big run. But if we go now to the Dixie, July 17th, you can see right here. Where you at, my friend? The low that it set. The high, obviously that weekly closed lower, but you can see the low got set there before it made this rally on July 17th, right? So July 17th lines up with the NASDAQ. I should honestly just do this. There you go. Let's pull up NQ here. So this is actually an interesting spot here. I'm going to take off this for now. Where am I? Oh, the candles are just different in this case. If I pull on my cursor now, see cursor, crosshair. There you go. So you go, July 17th, look what lines up here. You have a low that got set, and we go over here, you have a high that got set, right? And then look at this bull flag retracement. Look right where it closed out, right? It broke out on this day right here, which lines up with this day right here, that high. And then it continued lower. Now we're seeing that same similar pattern here at this when it's starting to come back here. Now you can see prices in a little bit of a divergence with the NASDAQ in this case. So here in a sec, if that actually does break that high, you'll probably see a bearish candle come in pretty soon. So that's something to really pay attention to, and why the Dixie can be very helpful on where it might be heading next. But for now, I do like it for a potential reversal setup here, which would be quite interesting to see. So I would really pay attention to that in its current state. So definitely bullish here on the 4 hour for a bit. We would want to see if this thing can actually come up and retest this high. But let's move on to the next one. I need a drink. No. Give me something. Just filling blanks now. We're just hitting blanks. Come on. Show me something. TRX. All right. Bam. All right. Who wants to see some dog with hats? I know somebody said that earlier. I didn't know if I wanted to actually do that. Oh, man. All right. Let's go to TRX. Oh, man. Okay. Ooh. I'm liking this way more than I'm liking these other cryptos. It's starting to get warm in here. Every time I stream, the lights and the computer, man, it just gets so hot. It gets so hot in here. It gets up to 80. I'm gonna eventually with you guys we'll have a better studio to be in, so we can I didn't mean to do that. So we can not sweat and have a little more space to do other fun stuff. All right, TRX. Okay, let's do that. We did gold earlier. Make sure to just go back on the stream. It was one of the first ones we did at the beginning of our charting segment, so go check that out. All right, start of the daily. Daily here, I like, right? So we've looked at this already this week. You can see here we talked about these highs holding if they wanted to hold. Now starting this week was Monday here on this day. We saw that bounce back. It sold off, right? Didn't hold it. Now it's holding it yet again. So essentially on this one's a pretty basic analysis. You would really want to see, for one, the candle to close above this high, right? I would want to see that, and then I would want to see what we've talked about here with the break of structures. You can even dial back your break of structure within the indicator if you want on the internal structure points to possibly see a BOS get formed here. But in this case, that structure would be breaking because it was a confirmed lower high on that current move to reset here. But we have found support over those highs at 108. So 10 cents, man, I don't even eighth of a cent. But in this case, that I'm gonna just say 108 for now. That's pretty much what we want to see. I would want to see this break, right, and then show me that, for one, this BUS can hold, but two, you have another one to find, right? If that something like that happens, or you get an inside bar or something, that would be kind of the play to go retest these highs, maybe break out. But so far, this volume on this day is pretty good. If we go to the weekly, though, the weekly is great too, because there's no bear case in this state, to be honest. Like, let me dot. So this is the reason why sometimes you have to drop these down so you get a better understanding of what's going on. In this case, was consolidating quite a bit, but look here, it's like we have a very aggressive smart trail coming out almost to the upside of the Neo, which is a very, very strong trend, right? So in this case, we look good. We look good for a decent breakout. I would want to see what we just talked about on the 4-hour to form, on the daily to form. But for the weekly here, it looks pretty solid for a possible breakout. I wouldn't be like I wouldn't really look for a bearish setup until we show, obviously, a bearish structure break. But honestly, if this support's going to hold over, I'm going to say 10 in this case, pretty much 100 just on the cent side. But yeah, it's just, there was no reason to even get out of this from this move. We can even see, let's do our volume profile again here. I think this is a good one to do. When we entered this range, it was roughly on this candle here. Do this one. So here you go. This is why some of these volume profiles, hey, if you disliked, you don't have to watch, man. That's your decision. It doesn't matter to me. You can go watch somebody else. All right. But again, there you go. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's like this was inside a very strong range, very highly traded range, and it breaks out. Lower liquidity usually sits on these upper sides, so it's a lot easier for these bigger moves like you saw here on that candle once it broke. So essentially, all we wanted to do is hold here before it makes that next push, right? In this case, for that next push to actually form, I was going to see, do we have... Yeah, there you go. So for that next push to actually form, we got to get back to these highs. So 1241 would kind of be a target there. It's about halfway through that order block. That's what I would essentially look for. We haven't fully came into that order block either. We rejected it for the one time, and it actually ended up forming right at the candle closes of this weekly high, which is important to note. At the candle close of that weekly high. So it didn't actually go and test those highs, just the candle close. So in this case, you get that volume stepping in, that bullish breakouts, more than likely, your odds of that happening are way greater than anything to the downside. So yeah, so I would hold on tight for this one. On to the next one. Give me something good. Come on, baby. Come on. Treat me right. Treat me right. Treat me right. I got to time this better. There you go. Boom. Pretty much just gave you that one. All right. But that's okay. Remember, we do go over every single one of these. So just want to make sure. GBP USD. Let me go over the pound, my friend, with the pounds. Nobody gonna sell it. You better not sell it. Man, that thing is ripping. Thing is ripping. But here we go. British pound. This one. Wow. Okay. For the daily. This one's trading a lot differently than the euro we just went over. Let's see here. So here you go. I mean, you have in this state, it doesn't want to go lower. It doesn't want to go higher, right? You're kind of squeezing. Look at all these turning points occurring. Bullish money flow did come in. A lot of turning points. Let's take off the order blocks for now so that it doesn't get in our way. So we can talk about this. But again, this is a bullish. It's still in a bullish trend. It's something that I wouldn't necessarily consider getting out of just yet. And look, this is what we call coiling. For one, you do have a nice pattern formation here that looks like a bullish breakout could occur in this state. You do have a higher low there. You got a lower low there. You got lower highs kind of forming, but it's still a higher low from that point. So in this case, I mean, it looks good for that break, but we need to see it. I think we need to see it. You have a higher chance of this breaking out. I wouldn't say this is your entry point. I will say that you were better off taking an entry on a candle like this candle here. As it came down, bounced off the fair value, had a nice candle close there. But in this state here for the daily, definitely leaning more bullish now because it's been struggling for this many days in this range. I'm not a massive fan of where it's at. This is something that I probably would have gotten out of about halfway through. Because we're in a range, we don't necessarily need the signals and overlays. We could actually turn on the reversal zones, which is a range kind of helping tool, right? You enter reversal zones, you come close to them, you could consider a buy or sell in this case. But a lot of choppy price action, right? So chop price action. This is yet again something where you wait on that structure, right? You wait on that structure. So you have to simplify this as much as you can. That's the only way you're going to get around all this craziness, right? So here on the British pound, what do I notice when this sucker breaks to this low? I notice that it finds support and it busts back up. So for those of you that, I've been talking about this quite a bit, we see, it comes up to the change of character, it rejects it, it does it twice, comes back down. I personally would not be trading this even though we see this change of character get, rejected. It's because before it actually went to retest that change of character, it bounced off the low of this range. This is where a fixed volume profile can actually really be effective and something you want alongside like something like price action concepts. Because let's see, when this thing entered this range, it was on this candle here. So here you go. There's no considerable trades, in my opinion, unless it's on the outside of this range, right? And then structure has to properly form on the outside of this value range. In this case, no structure was ever properly formed. You had a change of character here, but notice when it came to retest it, no support was found. It broke back down to the lows, right? This is a fixed volume profile. I can mark my points on this. But in this case, once again here, right, this broke out. I like to wait to see if it actually structure wants to hold. For one, I'm not a huge fan because here's a structure point I would have wanted to hold off of, not something that comes low and does not hold support over a previous high, right? So even that case, it came down and it still broke it, never held above it. And then you had this flush yet again. So again, you're outside. I wish I could just get rid of drawings, not you guys probably know how to do that versus me. I'm just going to delete these and make you suffer. All right. There you go. So whoever's cringing about probably knowing exactly how to do that without having to do it one at a time, I'm sorry. But again, it's a range. This is a typical range, right? You want to trade the range. Nothing. You want to focus on the trend side of things. So I'd put a fixed volume profile and then probably something like this, like the reversal zones. I do something like this. I can even, change my candle coloring to do like a contrarian gradient, which is something that I would also do. So essentially in this case, it's doing opposite. It's showing you when price is extended via different colors. If it lines up, right, with a breakout above this range. You see red forming. It comes up, rejects the reversal zones, comes back in. That's, what I would technically consider. Now, since we're in this value range, if you get that above, the value range, that's what I like as well. You could even consider your own reversal zone in that case. You can also turn down these if you wanted to see what fits that range too. But 3 is default, of course. But for this, current state, I'm not liking this until it wants to actually trade outside of this range. I'm going to turn on my confirmations to pull yet again. But again, it's right now, it has, in my opinion, a higher probability of following this range yet again. And that's what I would honestly look for. Now, if we were to just take off that here, you can see this decided to go up, kind of collect some liquidity to drive it back lower. Same thing down here. It swept these lows, and then it went back higher. It's like, is this never-ending pattern gonna eventually break? And that's the true question here. But for now, this coming to where it's at, I don't necessarily think it's going to go any higher from this state. Just broke that structure on the 1 hour. And I think you have a easy chance of this hitting 1.2661, which is a retest of this low. In this case, too, you could consider maybe the start of these imbalances here that line up with these lows, too, or these imbalances as well across a low holding support and resistance here. So your safe bet 1.2674 would be that target, but proper structure right now, which is good on a 1 hour time frame. So that's kind of essentially what I look for. Definitely bearish on this currently, just based on its overall pattern so far. All right, XRP we went over yesterday. We would touch it on the end of this, but I don't know if we'll have enough time. But just come back tomorrow and we'll touch on XRP. All right. I'm going to try to do new ones every day for you guys, or at least skip, or at least do like XRP yesterday, come back, do it again in 2 days. Unless something crazy happens, of course. If XRP is going nuts, give me something. There you go. Doge, Mr. Doge Dog. Doge Dog. D-O double Doge. Oh. I don't know how you guys trade these things. Doge was fun when it was a more so a run. Dodge. Give me that Dodge Ram. Yeah, so Doge was more so fun when you had the entire meme community buying the hell out of this thing. But this is what scares me on Doge right here. Is TA doesn't really come into play when you have random people that can just dump a bunch of money or hide any laundered money into this. In this case, though, I mean, let's look at the high time frame. That's pretty much your best bet, buy and hold type situation. Somebody was definitely wanting to get out quite a bit up here in the 90s, so I wonder if they did. But here you go. I mean, we talk about the structure quite a bit, right? You had that reject. You had that reject here because this is like Doge. They pretty much just ran everybody so they could get out of their positions and let it go back lower. That's what is the fear of trading things like this, especially like Bonk and Shiba and all that. In this case, though, this very bearish on the daily. Obviously, you can just tell by the way it's already been trading. I'm going to pull up the Neo. It's my favorite. Obviously, the Neo rejected. Didn't reject, but bearish Neocloud formed. It did reject here. Oh, no. Guys, you're going to lose me. So remember how I said that the temp in here gets really hot? I'm going to take off my camera. My camera just said it got too hot, and now it's off. Okay. So definitely need to get like a floor unit or something in here because this room definitely... I bet you it's like 80 in here. It feels like it's 80. So literally my camera just said too hot turning off. So just my voice for now. Okay. Now I can take my shirt off. Just kidding. I'm actually okay, surprisingly. But in this case, guys, Doge bearish on the daily here. You can see we're still in that bearish trend. We're finding rough support in this 88-cent area. I will say, let's go to the 4-hour and we can really look at this. Yeah, it just doesn't, to me, doesn't scream, a buy right now. I honestly, this thing could essentially maybe down at 7 cents. No comment about heater taking off of the shirt. I just, one of my cameras just turns back on and I'm just like shirtless. Like, oh, that wouldn't be good. That's why we're not doing that. But in this case, yeah, that 7 cent there, that's the 7. God, take it, Brad. It would be that low target right now, is what I would say. 7 cents would be what I'm looking for if I were to actually consider maybe a potential buying area. But for now, definitely short down to the actual 7 on the money. All right. Luckily, oh wait, you can see me right here. What's up? Yo, what's poppin'? That's gonna mess up. I forgot we have that on. I can just come in back here. All right. You can at least see the wheel. The wheel is on a mini camera. It's not on a nice camera. So on to the next one. I keep an eye on my time. I gotta go. US 30. All right. Move the mini. Then you're gonna see my quarters. You're gonna see the lab. All right. Well, actually, might have one eventually because we rock a cool monitor setup here. We have 4 monitors. Eventually, though, when we get into a bigger space, which is hopefully by the summer, we'll have a lot of room to do some fun stuff. Okay. Welcome back. I got to talk now so you guys know I'm still here. US 30, though. This is the Dow Jones, right? It's going to move the same as like the YM futures. So, somebody wanted US 30, though, by itself, so we're going to do this. We'll look at just a black bull one. This is similar to what we were looking at on the rest here. Massive moves on the daily. This actually looks a little bit better to come down into to retest these highs, because it didn't necessarily come down before like the rest did. Didn't have that day where it actually sold off for a while there. But in this case, right now, pretty simple, straightforward daily chart here. If we want to continue this trend, we need to hold this value right now. I would say you do have a decent little spot here to watch for. You have a small little range here where it's currently at. If this breaks below 37.74, it's probably going to at least come back, try to fill some of this leftover imbalance there on the buy side. So you could get some buy orders getting filled down here, and then maybe it could continue from there. But in this case, I don't fight trends, so overall always bullish. But, this daily here, we're down, we're only down a little bit, not much. What's up, man? My name's Jacob, and maybe my camera's not overheated anymore. Let's see. Holy crap, this thing's hot. All right, let's see. Will it turn on? That's the real question. I wonder if I unplug it. Let me do that. Oh, it might be working. I'm going to unplug it. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. Boom. We're back. Maybe if I unplug it, it'll help. I'll let you know here. He said I'm short in the green. Like a green Martian. I have a window to my right over here. The problem is I live in Tennessee, so like the temp is not much different. Plus, my air conditioner is right out there, so you just hear this big, like, sound when it starts. I just need to get a fan on there that can suck hot air out. But again, I'm about to be in a lot bigger space, so the temp will be a lot better. In this case, though, US 30 again. Yeah, your bear case is pretty solid for a very short term. Like if I go to 1 hour, pretty good. You currently, it came up, it took out that high. I've never found that support. Usually, if it takes out, a lower high, doesn't find the support. Once again, we talk about this every day. It's pretty much going up there, doing a stop run to get enough liquidity to drive this lower. So you're probably going to get a break of these lows on the hourly here. But what's going to come into play? I wouldn't consider this much lower than like this right here. This exact low. Wow, that hit exactly 37753. So that's exactly what I would go for in this case. So keep an eye on that coming down to this spot. Now, this too is a potential. There is a potential bull flag forming. If that doesn't break down there, doesn't go retest, then you could consider this here in a sec a bull flag that's coming into play. Now, obviously, this would need to break that to do it. But like we said earlier, we notice a potential start of a reversal on the Dixie, which, in that case, these markets will come down just a bit. I don't know how much. I mean, we'll be here, every day, so we can keep an eye on it. But for now, you can see the YM's kind of leading the pack in that case. So, yeah, I would say bearish right now. Very short-term bearish. Overall, on the daily, it's like bullish 100%, so long as this price holds, because, I don't fight trends. So there's no reason to. I'll give it one chance to hit something. Bam, ADA, baby. Let's go. All right, I got to make these quick. ADA, USD. Beautiful. Okay, I think we did. No, this is similar to. Yeah, Sol's a little similar to this. I could be dumb, and this could be on the Solana. What is ADA on the Solana network? Or is it on its own? I think it's on its own. You guys know better than me. All right, TA though. Oh, okay, that's why I can never figure out exactly which one is on Solana. This is trading similar to Solana. That's why I was wondering. Yeah. Awesome. All right. ADA. Okay, so it's quite interesting. Today we're getting this break of structure. And we're filling this entire imbalance, right? We fill this whole buy-side imbalance. Honestly, on this candle, you can see all those buy orders that came in to try to send it higher. Didn't happen. It failed. Came back down. Now, if we were to map out even just a fib from its actual lows here, you can see right here it's at that 50% retracement, which is pretty good. If we were to take one here as well, we can also see what lines up. The 618 is getting broken. Okay, so in this case, I do like this lower, but we need that BOS. See, notice that BOS there, it popped up for a second. Let's see if it pops up again. And then it went away. That's because they form on candle closes. So they form on confirmation. So this candle would have, there you go, there it popped up. So if this candle actually closes with a break of structure here, I do essentially like this lower. I would still be bearish on the daily. I think once again, here you go. We can, because look at this. Let's do a fixed volume range, which is when it entered that low was right here on this guy that entered that price on this guy. Yeah. Okay. So you could see it actually came out. The minute it came out of this, it started trending, right? Trending lower. And you got a proper reject, proper lower highs. Now it's coming into this. So the liquidity is a little bit lower. If I'm gonna pull this out now to where this range started down there before it busted. And let's see what we got. Okay, so here you go. Look at, this is, why you could see this thing kind of flush back to these levels. Look at the low volume, low liquidity that was there. It's got a high chance of actually coming off into here. And then this is the area in which you would look for your essentially support yet again. So 40 cents would be that target, that right on 40, honestly. That POC sitting there too. You can see the volume was greater The biggest amount of volume was right here in the 37. So honestly, that's a perfect spot to consider a high, price or a good price point to be buying this. Let's go to a weekly really fast. Just so you can kind of see. This is the other thing that is quite interesting because you do essentially have a weekly here lining up with, you have a weekly high, right, lining up with a imbalance, lining up with the weekly high, and below 50, right, on this retracement. So you do have a decent amount, but this is something that you have to wait for confirmation. We need to see a candle that's bullish, that's similar to something, like this, right? That's like a green bullish candle, something like that. That's what we need to see this next week. If not, this is going to keep coming lower, probably to go retest the 40 price point. So definitely would be bearish on ADA right now, just with the current TA that we're looking at, right? So if you guys know a lot more than I do about some of these cryptocurrencies, because I mostly just trade things like the majors right now, obviously Solana, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, stuff like that. But in this case, I honestly kind of like this. I might actually pick some up around 40s. Seems like it's I have to look into this a little bit more on this one, but if it comes down to those 40s, I personally will probably buy some. So we'll see what it does here in the next few weeks. But again, you don't want to fight, what you see, right? And the weeklies are going to be your best friend, I promise. Let's go to the next one. We have, what we got? 9 minutes. Oh, Pyth first. Let's go. I think we picked Pyth because it did look. Let's see. Bybit. They're all about. I'm gonna go to daily. Let's see. Which one would be better? Sorry, Python Network. Duh. Okay, so this is actually why I wanted to pick this. Was because this is pretty much exactly what we discussed, right? The last time I looked at this. Now, what's quite interesting about this is that very large chotch there. Earlier chotch, and this is where, depending on what you're trading, you can actually drop your internals. You'll see one should form down here. 3 doesn't do it, so it's a 2. Or it formed up there. Okay, that makes sense. But in this case, yeah, the lowest you can go is 3. But I like to leave mine on default. I think it's the best calculated change of character. But you could have gotten a chotch here on this move with this big impulse as well. Structure's still shifting regardless. But seeing that it retraced into a FVG, this was the second version in which we talked about might work with these large gap change of characters. I'm not essentially a big fan of large gap change of characters, but when it forms with an imbalance, I like that a lot because that means, there actually were buyers coming in at these levels. But this did come off and find support on that fair value gap, right? So that fair value gap support is now pushing quite a bit, which is fantastic, something you definitely want to see. Now, I would dive into the 4-hour because this is something we did talk about once again. And we probably pulled a fib from its recent swing low. And you can see here, it took out the 618. And guess what? It set a higher low on the 618, lining up with previous resistance. Seeing that on a 4-hour is a beautiful, beautiful setup for a shorter swing trade, in my opinion, off these highs, right? And I'm going to fix that here in just a second. Give me 1 second. Ooh, bring this down. There you go. Off these highs, right? So this is exactly what you would want to see. You have a golden pocket. If I were to just draw it back through here, you have it line up perfectly with a previous high. That's great. That's what we want to see. In this case, we need to see, first off, its first confirmed, bounce, which you get here. And then you need to see a conflicting trend, conflicting structure. If I even turn on these, let's see if it printed that there. Boom, higher low. See, in that case, there you go. There's your conflict, right? I can see what's, higher lows, lower highs. You have a higher high into a lower high, right? Downtrend, right? You have a lower low, lower high started to form. Now it popped into a higher low off of previous resistance, off of the golden pocket, and then it rallies, right? That's something exactly what we want to see. Once you see that, looks really good. The other thing you can get confirmation in is right here, the oscillator. The oscillator came down, right? And it comes up and it also sets a higher low during bullish money flow, which is good. The only thing I don't like about the oscillator is it did set a lower low on that formation. But notice the turning point it had on the upside here and here. So this on the oscillator, and these move similar. You honestly, here you go. You have an inverse head and shoulders on the oscillator as well. You have your little head there, shoulder, sets up, makes that move, right? In this case, that's pretty much what you're seeing here. You got the structure lining up perfectly overall. So definitely a decent, and that candle is great. It's such a good candle. So this definitely showed that it wanted to actually bounce off this. And the daily was very clean on this retracement. If you see retracements where it's like 2 candles and then you get a nice little bullish, almost a full hammer there, but you get a long lower wick body close up like that. That's pretty much, I'm just going to say it that way just so people understand what I'm talking about. That's a very good sign for a perfect retracement on a daily candle. Gold was shown before. Gold is in the back. Yeah, gold in the back. Gold's at the beginning of the stream. We always go over. Anytime you tune in, guys, if you're new here, when you tune in, if you can think of anything like gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, like any major asset, the NASDAQ and stuff, always at the beginning of the stream, the minute we start charting. Okay, so just go back to the beginning of charting. It's usually right at that, right at the 10 or 12 minute mark usually. Because we do the intro for 5 minutes. So it's at roughly like the 16-minute mark, somewhere around there. Will be all the majors. But Pyth, guys, great. This is a great move. Daily time frame. In this case, if this closes up like this around 40, above 40, I mean, this could be a buy as well for a potential break run. But that bounce on a lower time frame was fantastic right here. That higher low, 36 was great. Great entry. If you got somewhere around there, great job. I think it could very well continue and at least touch 43. So fantastic. All right, let's go to our NDR for our last 3 minutes. Render, baby. Renders, I definitely have heard this thing recently. It's been pretty popular. Right. Oh, yeah, I forgot IBM did have earnings yesterday. Jeez. You can't really, we can look at it on the weekly. Actually, I kind of, in a little bit to see where it's at. Okay. RNDR. Beautiful. All right, so in this case, for RNDR here, we're going to pull up our trend following tools. We have, the NeoCloud that's acting as resistance as it's coming down. You kind of have a, double top formation in a way here. But you also are showing rough support over some decent structure before. Right now on a daily, I would be bearish. Everything's leaning a lot more bearish in this case. Here's another thing to think about. This was sitting very bullish, very strong bullish uptrend. Finally breaks down. You get that bearish money flow, and it sets a lower high on the oscillator, right? Everything's saying bearish right now. I wouldn't necessarily say you should go long anytime soon in this case. This $3.04 was pretty good, or sorry, $3.40 was pretty good. But if we pull a fib off the last time it fully broke the whatever here, you can see 50% retracement has been trying to hold, but I don't know if it fully will. Let's see here when it's been trading on its range. You have your low that was there. If I take the first time it entered that price, it would be here. Here you go. So you would technically kind of be in a value range here. So again, it rejected the high of that, right? Pretty easily, right where that NeoCloud's sitting. So your probability of this going lower right now is a lot higher. If we were to just take, in this case, from where it found support, which was here, and we're talking about these body levels. Let's see where it's sitting. Yeah, there you go. So you're at the bottom there. It's like that's pretty much that price point you want to see actually close below. More than likely, you'll get a break of structure at this low here. But if you have a day candle that closes below this level here, and it's $3.63, then more than likely you're gonna get a little bit of a sell-off. The hard part is deciding where it might go. Let's go to the weekly and see. And here you go. There you go. This tells you exactly. So this is actually really good for the weekly here. That's where you might see it actually come down to if it breaks down. Would be $2.85, maybe below $3. I would say $3 is the first start to this, which is what I would pay attention to. So $3 would be my downside target in this current state. But I mean, even let's take a fib from this swing point here. You can see the 618 lines up with the 3. So you could even say the 3.26 would be maybe a level you could see some consolidation. But for now, it doesn't, in my opinion, this retracement for that impulse is kind of weak for now. Now, that's why in this, you have an imbalance thing down here. So I think good buys are very close to $3, right? So good buys are close to $3. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Let me go to Bitcoin really fast. Look over it one more time. For those of you that are still here, we're already inside that Neo. Hold on. Let me reset the Neo. Sorry, we're not in it yet. Okay. Not inside that Neo yet. The 2 is the default here. So we're inside that imbalance still. Remember we said 38K we still think is going to hit. We'll keep an eye on how it does. But the 40K mark was super important for us. But so long as price holds below, here you go. Just do this. So long as price holds below this low of 40,000, just say 40,000. Or actually, this Neo here. Neo is actually lining up very, very well. So as long as price holds below 40,380, 300, or just say 40,400, this thing is bearish. I would say first we need to break 40,500, that high there, to consider any type of bullish price action. But overall, if you actually want to consider a spot where a long, to start looking for longs, we need to break 42K, right? 42K is the biggest point in which I think it would be worth potentially starting to look for a long setup. Now, that long setup would take probably a full week to form. But again, 42K needs to break. And then, if we can get over 43,500 would be ideal before a really big run. But that's pretty much it, guys, for today. Remember, once again, I gotta make sure I always reset that. Remember, once again, guys, trading is risky, okay? So we like to look over the 4 hours, the weeklies, and the dailies, because that is the least amount of risk you're going to take is when you do these full-on analysis on these higher time frames, figuring out what levels are actually worth buying or selling at based on higher time frames. So I'd always recommend anybody starting out, maybe start with higher time frames. Then once you kind of understand those higher time frames, dive into lower time frames, and then trade, especially if you like to day trade futures or something like that on the crypto side, or even the US side. So US side, crypto's obviously global, but with the US markets, either way, it all correlates together the exact same. Today after hours, once again, guys, we have Intel and we have Visa, right? Next week we'll go over those tomorrow, what's coming next week for the earnings. But thanks for tuning in. If you were here early with us today, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new. We are live every day at 1 Eastern. Today is just an exception because I actually have an appointment here very soon. But guys, tomorrow, $300 giveaway. We're giving away $100 to 3 people. Make sure you're here at 1 Eastern. That you'll know. Sorry, I'm making sure we're good here. Yeah, so make sure you're here at 1 Eastern tomorrow for the $300 giveaway. You'll know how to enter tomorrow. We'll let you know. And we will be picking those winners and reaching out tomorrow, okay? But then stay tuned because next week we'll be doing another giveaway, and we'll talk about that on Monday of next week. There's a hair in my mouth. It's weird. But, of course, guys, thank you for joining me and giving us some fun things to go over If you didn't see what you wanted to see today via your analysis, we're here tomorrow. We will always be doing different things, as well as looking at things that are actually relevant to what's going on right now. So if there is like some crazy pump on Solana or like Avalanche or something, we'll always go over that, or like the Euro USD. It doesn't matter. Whatever market it is, if there's something important that happened, we will make sure to always touch on it. And make sure to let me know, too. If there is something important that happens and we didn't go over it, always throw it in the chat, because, you know, I can only see so much. That's why I need your help to give me more to look at, and then we can full on take and tackle whatever you want to see. So, all right. I need something to eat. It is lunchtime, too. I usually stream through my lunchtime, guys. I'm streaming for you guys usually through my lunchtime. But come back tomorrow to see how to enter the giveaway. And we appreciate you being here. Yeah, we are done for the day. Make sure you come in early if you want to see something you like analyzed. But go back through the stream. You'll be able to watch it. It'll be posted on the YouTube so you can go back over what we were looking at today. But cool. I think that's it. I think that's where we'll leave it. Mickey, you good, my friend? Oh, yeah. Real quick. Mickey. If you guys remember Mickey here in the stream, we've been doing daily streams, so it's shorter. Mickey is actually going to go live. As soon as his stream ends, he's going to set up his live stream within the free Discord, guys. Discord is completely free. Make sure you join the free Discord. The link is in the description of this video. The indicators we went over today, also in the description of this video. But Mickey's about to go live in the Discord to go over some more LuxAlgo stuff, look at more charts, stuff like that. So make sure if you're interested in something like that, or you miss your boy Mickey, he's in there. He's going to start being in there every day. So make sure you join that. And also join the chat. It's completely free, guys. It's a free chat for everybody. If you do sign up for the indicators, you do get access to certain other chats that relate to people, you know, sharing trading strategies, stuff like that. But we love our community. And Mickey will see you guys in there. And I will see you guys tomorrow for our $300 giveaway. All right. See you soon, guys. Bye.